Good afternoon. This is a 3 o'clock edition. You never can tell. I looked up the number of episodes that we have already transmitted, and it was 577. That makes this one 578. Who would figure, huh? 578 of these. Phew, sorry about that. Well, the big news of the day is the case against essentially Facebook for it's the best way of saying this. Whatever I say is going to be wrong. The jury has awarded $3 million in damages in the social media trial. And so the lawyers are now coming to the microphone, and they're waving on people to come in here and get their special moment. I'm watching a delayed. Oh, surprise. Facebook has stopped streaming us. Well, anyway, this 20-year-old lady has taken on the giant, and the jury has given its verdict. Guilty on all charges. And there are like 10 of them or 9 of them or something. And the lawyer for the plaintiff is speaking to the audience of media in front of the Los Angeles Superior Court. Yeah, oh boy. $3 million plus $300 million. And whatever happens, it's going to be appealed. So there'd be an appellate, court thing. There'll be all this. It'll be years and years before you got a 20-year-old and it's probably a $500 million case by the time you had it all up, no matter what. I don't know. I personally don't agree with all of this. If you don't want to look at it, turn it off. If you're 10 years old, your parents should be monitoring your behavior. And that is a difficult thing to do, to follow your 10-year-old around all the time, So don't have your 10-year-old have an iPhone with all its connectivity issues. There are restrictions that you can do to prevent such, but if they want to get to it, they're going to get to it. You got an iPhone, you got an iPad, you got the shoulder pads, you got the computers, and they got the friend's iPhone. Still, you can get in their way, and I understand the reason why parents. The parents want their kids to have an iPhone when they go to school, because if there's a problem, like a shooting or something like that, Google disagrees with the result. Jonathan Turley, our constitutional attorney for the Fox News channel. Yeah, he thinks it's a troubling case. Well, I agree. You know, when you have litigation, you know, I guess you can't, to me, you can't sue the manufacturer, General Motors, because your kid doesn't know how to drive right. Assuming the brakes didn't fail or something like that, but, to blame General Motors because driving is addictive, it basically opens up the court system for challenging every single channel that's on, the internet. You go down the list by net worth. You got Facebook, you got YouTube, you got Google, give me a break. It's troubling that you can look at Facebook and say it's addictive. Well, it's a communication, I have 1,600 friends on Facebook. Half of them I've never met, but they are interested in what I have to say or do or whatever they're interested in, the pictures that we take, the videos that we take, our connection with FAU, for some reason or other, either a few people or a lot of people, whatever, have interested in someone commenting about what's going on in the world. And I don't like this, what's going on. I also don't like what's going on with our government, where you have another party and the party is, one political party is holding the other political party hostage in some negotiations. So they stopped funding, the TSA. They just turned off the funding to TSA unless you change the laws that have been on the books for 30 years, 40 years, 20 years. There's a whole basket of laws that are out there about removing, illegal aliens. It's a serious, you can't jump the border and just say, oh, thank God I'm here. Now we'll start having babies and all of them will be citizens. And, that's a perversion. If you want to retire, I'm just saying, retire, move to. Let's see whether you're working age or retiring. let's say you want to move to New Zealand or Australia. You know what you got to do? You got to get, before a whole bunch of other things, you have to give them a financial statement, something that's verifiable, not just a bunch of baloney typed on paper, something that can be checked out. Banks can be called, the authorization to give information to the bank, to the, the New Zealand State Department, the State Department, whatever they call it, in New Zealand and Australia, want to know that you have the assets and the liquidity and the income and the health insurance, so that if you come to our country and look to stay here longer than 30 days, in other words, you're looking, for a long-term visa, they want to make sure you're not going to be a strain on their system, their health system, their financial system. So you're not going to go in there and start, sucking up taxpayer money, and you hadn't been paying your share of taxes for, 30 years. Just making that up. And that's the problem with our country, any country. You can't have the border open and 10 or 12 million people flood into the border. Tens of thousands a day. Do the math. Bill Malhusian, if I have that pronounced right, he stayed there for years as the Fox, man on the scene, on various principal cities on the border, watching all these people coming, just washing themselves in, coming across a river, just coming across a viaduct, whatever. And, they, then they apply for, financial aid, medical aid. They go to a hospital. They got a break, you got a broken arm. Sure, go into the hospital. Guess who pays? The taxpayer. The hospital pays, and then the hospital applies to the federal government and says, this is, this applicant doesn't have any insurance. This person that got this medical treatment does not have insurance. So the taxpayer ends up footing the bill. Can't say it another way. Then all of a sudden the kid becomes, 6 years old, and, here they are in first grade. Well, they don't speak English. So now, that these Democratic parties, Republican parties, whatever. So now we need special teachers in there that speak Spanish, because this group of students don't speak English. So now these municipal school systems are going to have to, pay for special teachers that are bilingual, English, Spanish, And, some school systems up north, they are having to hire 2 or 3 different teachers with different language skills, because, we've got a number of students from Japan and a number of students from Germany and a number of students from South America, and of course the English students. So now they got 5 different educational programs going on in a particular jurisdiction, because the back door is left open. for all these people in the world that want to live in the land of freedom. Well, unfortunately, now why did the Democrats do that? Because they're hoping that some major chunk of these people will eventually, after a few years, and that the legislatures of various states will say, they've been here a while and they've been paying taxes. They're, doing this kind of work, that kind of work, whatever. And, they're part of our society. Shouldn't they have the chance to vote in at least statutory state elections? So now all of a sudden, several states, let's just say blue states, we all know what those are, right? Like New York, Illinois, and California, to name a few. Those legislatures independently say, hey, let's give them the right to vote in statutory elections. So that'll go on for a couple of years. And then the blue states will decide, they've been here for a few years. We're going to permit them to vote in national elections. Now that's where the rubber hits the road. And that's, so what happens in the meantime? New York, Illinois, and California, if those were the states that received more than the average number of illegal aliens that flew through the border, that walked through the border during the Biden administration, it's estimated by reasonable sources that it's somewhere, 10 or 12 million, and there are 2 million gotaways. I'll explain gotaways in a minute. I talk about these things because, I have a lot of friends that are really, really smart fellas and ladies. I'm not smarter than them, but I do pay attention. And there are a lot of people that don't pay attention to the normal media's, sources because they just don't want to believe it. Well, I pay attention to all this stuff. And, I don't have any dog in the hunt. I'm just giving it to you straight. And you can, appreciate what I say or not. But the bottom line is, if they're in here and they get caught by the census, meaning they're counted by the census. When the census people come to your door, or when the census people send out these mailers to say, how many people live in this dwelling unit? And you say 7. 2 kids, 2 this, 2 that, 2 retirees. There's no question on there, are you a citizen? It's just a head count. That's called a census. It happens every 10 years. This is 2026, so you got about another 2.5 years, and they're going to start working up the next census. They've got a year to produce it, and those head count results determine how many House of Representatives people that you get for your state. So those 3 blue states, New York, Illinois, and California, to name just 3, there are more, of course. If they receive more illegal aliens than the red states, because those blue states are sanctuary states. Sanctuary, what does that mean? In other words, you can go there even though you broke the law and we won't prosecute you. That's your sanctuary, you're protected. That's another way of saying we're not going to prosecute you for the fact that you jumped the border and you're illegal. We're going to call you, not only that, we're going to call you something else. We're going to call you undocumented persons. So you got citizens and undocumented persons. Well, undocumented person makes it sound like, I lost my passport. He's undocumented because he lost his. No, you're undocumented because you're an illegal alien. Get the hell out. Because you are taxing our society. Look, there are, 6, 7, 8 billion. You can Google it. You can say, hey Siri, how many people are in the world? As of November of 2022, the number exceeds 8 billion. There you go. Okay. Hey Siri, in the United States, what is the population estimated at? As of 2024, 340,110,988. There you go. How do you like that for what they think? In other words, so we're 340 million as opposed to 8 billion. Now, I've heard it reported that there's some, 3 billion or so that would love to be here. That would love to get the handouts. Everybody wants the handout. What the hell? No one wants to get the handout. They'd rather have the ability to not have a handout. But if you want the handout and you jump our border, you're probably going to get it somewhere. And so you go to a sanctuary city or a sanctuary state. Minnesota, I think, declared themselves a sanctuary state. They have. Hey Siri, how many Somalians live in Minnesota? 70,000. What percentage of the Somalians is for the population of Minnesota? Nearly 1/3 of the people with a Somalian ancestry live in Minnesota. That's disgusting. 70,000. Hey Siri, of the 70,000 some on government support. 75% of Somalians in Minnesota, you can see this on your screen, I believe. 70%. God, that's disgusting. That is totally disgusting. Yeah. So, anyway, so now you notice this is Wednesday, March 25th. And look what I got in there. Episode 578. Because I went to what do you call this? I went Here we go. The light is too bright. Let me turn it down just a little bit. There we go. Too many photons are floating around here. That's interesting. The administration says, hey, the talks are going well. The people that are heading up Iran say, we're not talking to the president. He can go to you know where. Operation Epic Fury. Just keep bombing their asses. They'll cut, hey, look. If they're not going to turn over, their bad stuff, then, and just take it out. What else are you going to do? Closing these other apps. There we go. So anyway, the new meter in Jimmy Wilson's small contribution to our society is, I now have an episode number, and I'm going to try. So on the 25th is 578. And every time I have an episode, that'll click up one. The next one will be 579, and then 580. When it gets to 600, we're going to have a celebration. Yeah, that's a lot of talking. And, episodes go from an hour and a half. It's hard to believe that I can talk to myself for an hour and a half. There are some of you there that send me text messages every once in a while. Yeah, 10-4, good buddy. Yeah, I told my wife, get me some Swanson chicken broth. Yeah, the cat, the dog. I have dog and cats. And you want to see something that's really crazy. That is a box that is probably 13 inches by 9 inches, maybe 10 inches. And the dog has got my right shoe, my right walking shoe, which smells like Jimmy, and her favorite tennis ball. And there's a couple of cotton towels in the bottom of that box. And she's taking a nap. It looks like she's getting ready to be shipped to Montana. Yeah, close that sucker up and ship it to wherever. Oh my God, that'd be terrible. Couldn't do that. But isn't that funny? The way the box is closed, with those flaps, they're tucked in. They're all tucked in. Now, Honey, the name of our little new pup that Robin bought for me and sent it to me as a birthday present. The present that keeps on giving. Yeah, this is the definition of the present that keeps on giving. Sometimes it gives you heartbreak. Sometimes it gives you all kinds of joy. See right here, he's trying to work himself out of the box. He's been scratching on it. He's gotten through the first layer. He goes with his paws like that. You can hear him scrubbing the edge of that box. We'll have to, I keep saving, I save boxes anyway, just until the cleaning ladies come, and then I get rid of said boxes. But I'm going to keep the next size up, the boxes that you might get from, Amazon.com. from time to time, you know, I'm always getting some. Between Meryl and I, we're always getting something from Amazon. And it comes in a bag or a box. So lots of times a box. So I'm going to save the next couple of size boxes larger than this, because this is only a 10-week-old little pup. And that's going to grow and weighs somewhere between 4 and 5 pounds. I think when we took it to our vet here, the Cole Animal Clinic, Dr. Kelly Phillips, DMV, they weighed the dog in, I think, at 4.5 pounds. So I'm going to say it's 5 pounds now. You know, they go through some stress when they during the transportation process. It was driven. It was driven here by 2 young fellows. Bus. There were a couple of stops on the way, and here we are. So I said, "What are your next stops?" "Oh yeah, we have a stop over in Coral Springs, and then then we're going to go over to Tampa, and then we're going to go up to, you know, they're coming down the state and going up. That's, yeah." Oh boy, I thought I'd be the last stop, you know. We're the furthest way from Missouri, the state of Missouri. These 2 young fellas in their, I'm going to say, early 20s. You know, we're taking care of, like, I'm just going to say 10 dogs. They say they drive, and then they say it takes several days, you know, to make the deliveries, and then we take 5 days off. And then, you know, then we get another 10 or 15 deliveries, deliver them all over the place, and then take 5 days off. And that's how we do our, you know, I said, wow. So that's how you, 2 days of deliveries and 5 days off. He says, yeah, that's pretty much it. Wow. It's a hard week. Well, it's 5 days off and 2 days of delivery. So anyway, there's my little dog. Looks like it's ready for delivery. I got my favorite shoe. I got my tennis ball. Send me somewhere. Little boogers sleeping. Yep, sleeping in the box right now as we speak. And I'm going to try to take a photograph. All right, I got the photograph. This is the current view. It's not a good picture, but, you know, it's, let's see, we're going to rotate this around so we can see what we got. There we go. And we're going to do freeform. We're going to freeform it. So I can pull in the sides the way I see fit. There we go. And slide it down a little bit. That's good enough. Oh yeah, now we have to get the walls of the boxes. Yeah, see, now we have to rotate this a little bit. There we go, rotate that a little bit. Okay. You had to roll it back just a little bit. Now we take this one and do a little magic with it. All right, that's good enough for, yeah, hit that. There we go. So, now we have the shadow one, yeah, that brightens it up a little bit. And then we turn up the color just a little bit. There you go. So you got a shoe, favorite ball. There we are. So This should come up. Yeah, it should come up on the Richter scale here. Let's try airdrop. I'm going to airdrop it to the 13-inch iPad. There we go. Yeah. Did it happen? Waiting. It says waiting, sending, sent. All right, I should have it. There it is. Yeah. Oh yeah, you have to. You got to declare all these favorites. So, library, collections. Oh, I need to do that. Yeah, recently saved. There we go. No, I had those three. Nope, let's search. These three. Oh, that's it. Select. I want select. And then I do this. And then I hit that. And hit favorites. Okay. So now I'm going to go back to favorites. There we are. Now you can see dog and current position. And if we pull up the EXIF data, you'll see it was captured March 25th at 3:38 p.m. So it's, 3 minutes old. Excuse me. It's a dog. Look at that. Is the Cavalier is looking sideways, but it is, okay? It's amazing. This is all part of the operating system that Apple delivers to you. It is a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel. That is the breed. It is a toy dog of Spaniel type. 4 collars. 4 collars. We have a ruby one with a couple of touches of white floating around. It's the origin of the United Kingdom. So this would be, it would be an adult version of what I now have a miniature. There you go. Here's, yeah, the ears aren't, well, maybe the hair, Yeah, I'm just looking through all the different kind of ones that they show here. Yeah. Yeah, see, we have one like this. It's all the ruby color. But my dog is a happy dog. That dog doesn't look very happy. Yeah, it's more like that kind of a dog with shorter ears. The ears hang right about that, They don't hang, the ears don't hang all the way down here where when it's drinking water, the ears get wet. Anyway, that's a feature of this whole, push up. And you can see the camera was taken 11 megapixel image, 3,900 pixels by 2,800 pixels. The file size is 9.3 megabytes. Now that's the file size. It's a JPEG. You see JPEG, JPEG image. You should set your phone to most compatible. That's the setting that Apple says. They want you to do the HEIF, which is a high efficiency, super duper, what they say is a super duper, condensed file. so you can get maximum number of photos. Well, Bupkis, JPEG is a file that expands when you want to see it and contracts when you're saving it. And it was engineered 10 or 15 years before Apple ever designed their first iPhone. So they should call it JPEG. You want a JPEG file, or you want an HEIF file? You know, we're not stupid. But no, they just say most compatible or HEIF. Well, choose most compatible because then you'll get the high efficiency JPEG, which the rest of the world recognizes. Some email systems will not take an HEIF. They don't know what the hell it is. Just so you know. So if you don't have that setting correct, in one of my prior episodes, I tell you exactly how to set your iPhone into most compatible imaging. It's not hard to do, but it's buried in a bunch of menus and things, It should be in a very easy and convenient place for you to make this choice, because that's actually a pretty important thing when you're talking about how photos are going to be transmitted into the internet or emailed or text messages. Sometimes you'll if you find when you do your text messaging and all of a sudden the rest of the world can't see this picture that you want them to see, it's probably because you captured the image in the HEIF format. Because if you don't set the camera, all right, I guess I have to do it. The people are telling me, do it. So the way you set that is you go to settings. So here's settings. Hit. All right, let's see. Here, see down here, camera. Right underneath, right there, right in the million screen, camera. All right, let's see if the setting is there. This is how you want to record your video. I'm telling you how I believe you should set your iPhone. Set it to 4K 30 frames a second. Don't take the next one down, because then it's that high efficiency crap. And no one will be able to use your, Now, if you want super smooth videos, but not 4K, you come up here to 1080. You hit that one. So it's either that setting or this setting. The 4K is like your big screen TV, and 30 frames per second is plenty fast enough to give a nice smooth golf swing. So that's one setting. So now we come down here a little later. Let's see. Okay, so you got video recording, you got recording slow-mo, and then you want stereo sound. See where it says formats? Touch that one. So you basically have camera, and then you touch formats, and then you check most compatible. When you get your device, they default it here. you change the setting to most compatible, and that way the images are saved in JPEG format. See in the paragraph here, to reduce file size, capture photos and videos in the high efficiency. Don't, because you can't undo that. So there's an application you can get to convert HEIF photos to JPEG. Just most compatible will always use JPEG H.264, but 4K at 60 frames a second will require, that higher efficiency. Well, just keep it at 30 frames a second. Pretty simple. We already discussed that. So that's what you do. You save it to most compatible. That's it. It's not hard. You come right here. It's right on the main list of things to do. So as soon as you get your device, go to camera, hit formats, hit most compatible. And that way all your pictures will be accepted by every email system in the world. If you hit that high efficiency one, you're going to get bounce backs. Can't send. You're going to end up with some, messages you don't want to hear. So we got, oh my God, can you believe this? Here, Air Canada is landing. I saw they stopped showing the video where the plane crashed into the fire truck. But no, the fire truck crashed into the plane. They have it backwards. The plane was cleared to land, so it was landing. It was the wheels just touched the runway, and the pilots were just getting ready, to do the reverse thrust. And bam, all of a sudden, a 90,000-pound fire truck turns into the runway and smashes right into this Air Canada. Terrible. I'm just going to flip through this and try to find the article with that. I mean, that's disgusting. All right, where is it? I can't believe it's buried in there somewhere. Now you can see a big plane wreck with it's the most unusual thing you've ever seen. I'll show you a little trick. Samsung phones. Don't do it. Get iPhone. Yeah. Most people have iPhones now. Okay. How do you Amelia Earhart's plane? Oh, here's the headphone thing. I am wearing the best headphones there are. It's the Sony XM6s. That's what you want. That's Jimmy. I don't have white moon noise. I have Fox News going. Yeah, I wear that damn headphones. I swear to God, it's terrible. Yeah, but I got these Sony headphones are really quite spectacular. Come on, give me the order. Give me the picture thing about that talks about that stupid airplane in LaGuardia Airport. That's on the North Shore of Long Island, Manhattan. It's real close to the city. It's jammed in with all the population. Mushy bourbon sludge recycled. There's Sony headphones again. We're watching carefully. We're watching for the airplane story that I saw here as a headline. And I'm going through this. Yeah, it's going through all of headline news. The U.S. says we're negotiating, and it's negotiating well with Iran. Iran says we're not negotiating with anything. That's a bunch of bupkis. We've agreed to nothing. So stop it. Iran rejects Trump's proposal to end the war. Well, that's not good. Yep. Los Angeles jury found Meta guilty. Guilty as charged for sneaking up on its occupants, on its viewership, making them addicted to it. What a bunch of crap. You know, geez. It's like suing the Coca-Cola company because I'm addicted to Diet Coke. No, I just like Diet Coke. How about that? I do. I have some right here. Right here, Diet Coke. Not Coke, not Pepsi, not Diet Pepsi, but Diet Coke. Yes, I like it. It has a very nice taste. You know, for a bubbly afternoon. You know, rather than having hot coffee in the afternoon, I have Diet Coke. I drink hot coffee in the morning, and I drink Diet Coke, you know, at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock. It's now 3 o'clock. Or no, it's 4 o'clock. Yep, it's coming on 4 o'clock. Well, I don't see. I don't see the airplane. Oh, the real reason hydrogen fuel stations keep losing supply. Yeah, because there's no cars to. I mean, what a. Whew. So here's some young lady with headphones on. Not a bad idea, because if there's any part of your body that reacts to disturbances when you're trying to sleep, is light. You know, like when the sunlight comes up, you know, unless your blinds are really good and strong for keeping out light, the sunlight will wake you up. It's part of the human experience. Another part of your human beingness. Excuse me. Trying to figure out what kind of robot that is. We got Melania Trump and a robot. Why is it not a Tesla robot? It looked like another kind of bot. but it's not the right kind of bot. But it's not the right kind of bot. Yeah. Anyway, so I can't. Up 4 o'clock alarm. What is antivirus software and why do you need it? Well, I don't know exactly. Anyway, so I took a picture of my dog in the box with a shoe. Cute, huh? I know, it's crazy. And here's another pose of dog. Look at it. I mean, it's so scrunched up. And, you know, I guess these little pups are used to being all scrunched up when they're 4, 5, 6 of them all lying on top of each other trying to get close to mama. Yeah. So that's the latest version. What time of day was this one taken? Yeah. Wednesday, March 25th at 12:56. So that's just 3 hours ago. Now you see the little tiny white circle with a little dog in the middle? You touch on that and it will tell you what the hell it'll tell you what kind of dog it is. It's either a Cocker Spaniel or it's a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel. It is the Cavalier. Yes, it is. We went through this. I just think that's amazing. There you go. My dog is a happy dog. This dog doesn't look very happy. Yeah. These dogs look happier. Mine looks like the one on the very left. Well, you can tell. Dakota's a little lighter, but that could be because these dogs might be 1 or 2 years old, where my pup is 10 weeks. That's interesting. You can actually tell you what the hell kind of dog you got just by clicking the little dot on there when you lift up on the photo to find out what time it was taken. It says it's a dog, and you press that, and it tells you, well, it's one of these two. What do you think? Yeah. And not only that, it tells you where exactly it was taken with a little map. And you can touch on the map. There you go. And you can come up here on the very top right. You can see like a map thingy. Put on satellite view. Hit the X. And now you can expand it. And that is my multifamily residential building we're living in. And we are right in that northeast corner of the building. I can turn on 3D and rotate this. This is crazy, huh? This is the world of satellite imaging. That is the building we're living in. Yeah, I'm pulling down with 2 fingers. There you go. Now it's like we're flying. And we're coming up and we're flying and we're flying and it's like we're almost straight over it. And we go like that and now we're straight over it. But this little 3D dimensional view gives you a little indication of what, yeah. And that picture is hanging over right about where I'm in here in my, 8 foot by 8 foot studio. It's not 8 foot, it's 6 by 6. I got about 50 square feet here. It's actually about 100 square feet. Marilyn has the other side. When I look over this MacBook Pro computer, she would be sitting over there. All right, what else is going on? All right, let me just show you. So we're going to X out of that. And we're going to go to that. So now we got, yeah, we have to come over here. Because on, this is Wednesday. Tuesday, Friday, Tuesday, Friday, Tuesday, Friday. Every Tuesday and every Friday, Mega Millions has a drawing of their 70 balls and Powerball. There's 24 of these yellow balls and a machine over on the right side. And there's a machine right straight in front of you that has 70 what looks like ping pong balls with numbers painted on it. And then number 1 through 70. They draw 5 of those balls out and put them in a line. And then they come over to this other machine and pick the Powerball. They push a button and opens up a valve and allows one Powerball to come out. Yep, and that's what this is all about. So on March 24th, this is March 25. So yesterday evening, the $60 million Mega Millions drawing occurred. In other words, it was a $60 million prize. See, Tuesday, 4/13/52/53/69. 4/13/52/53/69. Powerball 10. That was last night's drawing. And then you see right below it, Friday, March 27. The next jackpot is 70 million. This jackpot up here was 60 million. It's the same Mega Millions, but there's